Hi, I'm Peter Morse from the Faculty Association. I just wanted to share a little bit of information about some history at SMC, enrollments and employment numbers over the past 15 years or so. Many of us are fairly new, and so I thought I'd just bring us all up to speed on just kind of what the landscape has looked like over the past 15 years. So the first thing I wanted to show was the overall trends of student enrollment. So they call this full-time equivalent students, or FTES, one of the jargon words that we use. But as you look at the enrollment, you can see that from 2009, where I'm starting, through to 2024, there's been a little bit of a dip, but then we got back to close to our highest ever enrollment around 2015. And since that time, our enrollment's been decaying away. Of course, we hit COVID around 2020, 2021, which had a big effect on our enrollment, and we're starting to come back out of that again. So what's important here is that we are turning the corner. Our enrollment is increasing. And again, this is all credit enrollment. So it includes resident students and non-resident students who are taking credit classes. So overall, we had a bit of a dip back in 2011, 2012. There was a bit of a budget crunch that was happening back then. We got funded less, and so we served less students. But then we built back, right? Again, the biggest idea here is that we're trending downwards, and then now we're turning the corner. I'm going to be looking specifically at the employee numbers for every past 5 years. So going from 2009, 2014, 2019, and then our projected enrollment for 2024. So again, you still see this overall sort of flat early on, but declining. This is exactly what we sort of see here. If you look at 2009, 2014, up and down, but kind of flattish. But then the decline since then. What we don't see on this next slide, though, is that we really are starting to come back slightly. So 2024 is a little bit higher than the lowest point, which was 2022. Well, if we're serving less students, then what that consequently leads to is having less faculty members teaching classes, providing counseling services, and so on. The burden of that, of course, is carried by our part-time colleagues. Full-time faculty stayed almost constant. We had a high of 340 full-time faculty members. We dropped down to 309. We've gotten back to about 320, but it's fairly flat. Part-time faculty members, though, we've lost about 250 of our colleagues, and we didn't lose them, right? They weren't rehired. So again, these are colleagues of ours who are no longer working at the college. But this mirrors the kind of trend in students being served. You would imagine, when you look at another group, here are our managers and project managers, during that same period of time, we do not see the same kind of behavior. Fairly flat total overall for the first part of the series of the graphs, but then increasing numbers, drastically increasing over those last 5-year periods. Again, comparing to the student enrollment, faculty numbers, management numbers. Another way to try and think about this data is how many employees are there serving students per student that we're serving. So one measure of this, they say, is how many employees per 1,000 full-time equivalent students. Well, in this case, you can see for faculty numbers, we were increasing a little bit, and it's kind of flattened out, right? So we're fairly constant in the number of faculty members that we have serving students who come to the college, right, per student body. Management numbers tell a completely different story. So rising from just over 3 managers per 1,000 students to over 5 managers per 1,000 students now. So during this period of time, a huge increase. Another way of thinking about this that the Vice President of Business Services shared with us last week was to look at the increase, just the percentage increase in different employee groups. This is just from 2018 to 2022. This is the years that he could collect data from. So looking at the Chancellor's Office data, he sees that there was a 30% increase in the management numbers, about a 15% increase in faculty. Classified staff increased by over 20%, while the student numbers were dropping again from 2018 to 2022. Remember, our lowest enrollment date was 2022. So this shows a similar effect biggest increases amongst management colleagues, smallest increase in employee groups is amongst the faculty. So I'm sharing this information just so that as we head towards the budget period of time, the governor is going to be releasing his what's called May revise in about a week or so now. During that time, the governor will propose to the legislature changes to his budget, given the tax returns and other things that we've been seeing happen recently. After that, the legislature and the governor will try to come to an agreement by the middle of June. So that's when our college will know roughly the kinds of monies that will be coming towards us for the next academic year. And whether or not money is going to be taken away from the previous year or returned from the previous years. So we're waiting to see around about the middle of June what the budget situation looks like. But keep in mind, as we start to have conversations across campus about decisions the college needs to be making, think about the kinds of choices that we should be making as an institution. Our position, as always, is that the cuts, if the college decides it needs to make any cuts, have to be kept as far away from students as possible, in whichever way we want to decide that that can happen. Thanks for hanging out with me for just a little bit today, and hope to see you soon.